What's up, fellow citizens of the world? Jordan Patrick here, and welcome to my channel. It is Wine O'Clock Wednesday, where I release new English videos every Wednesday. And after living in France for 6 years, I noticed a huge conflict of interest between my American friends and my European friends. So today I thought I would talk about the biggest conflict of interest between the US and France. So on y va, c'est parti! Okay, so what I've realized is that every time I go back to the States, I'm hanging out with friends. The things that I'm used to talking about, like culture, travel, language, these are things that I talk about so regularly in Europe because it's a huge reference of interest because people are meeting people from around the world, from different cultures, different backgrounds, and so language is going to be my first point because in the States, everyone speaks English and the next language is Spanish, but usually the people who speak it, it's because one of their family members is from Mexico or from South America. A lot of people did study Spanish in high school, but that's like very, very little, and they're not gonna be so quick to say that they're bilingual. Or maybe they will, but are they really bilingual? I don't really have any friends back in the States who speak a foreign language because they wanted to, because they put in the effort to study a new language. For the most part, we can get by just speaking English our whole life. Just like there's French people that can do the same, or Spanish people. Like, you don't have to learn a second language unless you want to open the opportunities to jobs and just future travels and all this sorts of things. In the States, it's just not a huge topic of interest. My second point is pop culture, which is kind of sad to think about, to be honest, because here in France, what I've noticed is that you rarely see publicity or what are those called? Tabloids. Like, you barely see tabloids anywhere unless you go to a specific kiosk where they have newspapers and magazines and entertainment type stuff. But in the States, you have it everywhere. Like, you can't go to the supermarket and not see the tabloids at the counter that are just right in your face, like screaming at you, like celebrities that broke up, or, you know, who's skinny, who's fat. A huge pop culture based on like what the heck the celebrities are doing. And frankly, like, I give 0 Fs. In France, like, you're just not bombarded with tabloids and stuff because here they don't care as much. Sure, it might be interesting to some people and everything, but they just don't care about celebrities as much as Americans do. They're much more interested in my next point, which is world issues. So they here will know all about different wars that are going on around the world, like also what's happening within the European Union, because it's a union size of the States, and any law that happens in a different country might directly affect the country that you're living in Europe. So it's normal that here they're much more aware of things that are happening in countries around the EU and around the world. If they watch the news or follow politics, then most likely they know anything that's going on in the States. And in fact, like, sometimes they know more about bills that are being passed in the States than I know myself. So in the States, people are most likely to know more about like what's happening in their community or maybe their state, maybe the country, but it rarely goes outside that. I am generalizing here, but a lot of times they're not going to know what's happening in Europe. I mean, big news like Brexit, that would be one of the bigger things that would make it over there. But to know what's happening in the world of politics, they're not known for knowing what's going on around the world because it's more of a big bubble. Another huge topic of interest is traveling. I know that in the States, it's pretty difficult to go far because it's pretty expensive to travel within the States even. They don't have low-cost flights and companies like we have in Europe. You do have some, but it's still not the same type of cheap flights like you could find here with Ryanair, EasyJet, Level, and Wizz Air. Yeah, we have just so many different types of flights and airlines in Europe that the States is kind of lacking in that department. They also have less time to take vacation and to travel, so it makes sense. And so when I come back, I have so much to talk about when it comes to traveling. And my friends back home, they might travel a little bit, but it's more gonna be within like a 3-hour drive because it's probably gonna be just for a weekend. So from LA, it's pretty easy to drive to Las Vegas. So that'll be a nice, easy, quick getaway. Also San Diego or Orange County, close enough to where you can do it in just a weekend. If you do have more time, then maybe you would like to take a trip to Mexico or Canada. Those are the closest countries nearby. It's still not that common because it's still pretty expensive to travel. And in Europe, so easy to take a weekend trip to a different culture, different country. We also have more vacation days, so that's also pretty common that you have at least 5 weeks throughout the whole year. And so if you're not spending it with family, then you're spending it with friends, solo traveling, all this type of stuff. So yeah, if people are not traveling as much, it's going to not come up so regularly in topical discussions. Okay, and my last point for today that I find pretty different is that here people are much more ecologically friendly and they care a lot about the environment. And so here it's illegal to throw trash away that could be recycled. And in the States, I feel like the culture when it comes to being green is a lot more, I don't want to say flexible, but it's just less implemented, like must do. It's just a topic that you're going to talk way more about in Europe than you will in the States. That's not true for everyone, because I do know a lot of eco-friendly green people in the States, but I would say here it's more of a norm. I would say it's just a way of life here, and I think it's great. So there you have it. I think it was like 4 or 5 topics of interest that I find very different in the States compared to Europe. So if you did like this video, please give it a like, share with some of your friends, and see you in the next one. I'll be back on Sunday for Dimanche de Ouf, where I'll release a new French video. So see you then. À la prochaine. Ciao, ciao for now.